Okay, so I'm like, let me just correct this here. This is so funny because I'm, I'm like, okay, I had a lot of adult beverages. Okay, I apologize. I had too much adult beverages. So, how are you doing, guys? Too much adult beverages for Rob Braxman here. Too much adult beverages. So, yeah. So, yes, I'm wearing a degoogled hoodie, which is on the merch store. And you can find that on the merch store and have t shirts and cups and long sleeve shirts and whatever you find in different colors. You can find it on the merch store. You can choose whatever you want. Thank you guys. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And sorry, I was talking to my mom and I was trying to give her some medical advice. So, oh, sorry, my mic isn't close by. Okay, so I apologize. The mic wasn't close. So let me just check my mic here to see if it's, yeah, mic is good. Okay. So I have to admit to you that I have had excess adult beverages, a little bit more than usual. Rob checks are bright red. Okay. So, yes, you can blame me. Yes, it's my fault. I've had too much adult beverages. And I had to call my mother. My mom called me right before the broadcast, and I had to give her some medical advice, and that was kind of disruptive. But how are you doing, guys? How are you doing? So, the topic is about 10-year-olds having a mobile phone, smartphone, doing TikTok. So we're gonna go to that in a second, but just want to make sure that I'm okay here and you're okay. Okay, so I'll get my own adult beverage. Yes, Mysticulous, get your own adult beverage. Everyone needs to get their adult beverage. And if I don't sound like normal because I've had too much adult beverages, then I'm going to try to behave like I don't have too much adult beverages, which is very hard right now. So, okay. So anyway, about a week ago, I had friends on my boat, and my friends brought a. They'll probably watch the video, but that's okay. So they brought a child who was 10 years old, and while the adults were happy drinking and celebrating and having fun, the 10-year-old was sitting with a cell phone, a mobile phone, and doing TikTok. TikTok was her choice at the time. But it's just a wonder to me that you would have a 10-year-old doing TikTok. So I'll get back to that. So Tom is having a bourbon, and you didn't take the bourbon and turn it into a Manhattan, huh? Why don't you turn the bourbon to a Manhattan? You're just taking the bourbon kind of by itself. So yeah, you guys are sauce night. Entire Meyer, my good friend, how are you? Entire Meyer, like I don't know, the longest subscriber on Brax.me on our paid account. Is like Entire Meyer has been around so long. I appreciate it, Entire Meyer. You're such a good friend. Thank you very much. I got a Framework laptop and I downloaded Fedora. Is that a good privacy? Framework it's awesome. Yeah. I'm glad you got a framework. I can't order a framework. buffering. Signal's very good right now from me. I'm sending pretty much a solid. I'm sending a solid 4K video to YouTube. I don't know what YouTube is feeding you. Probably 180p, but it's sending a very solid 4,500 kilobits per second. So should be good. Should be good. Sorry for primer sake. A slight confusion. BSSID is the Bluetooth chip. MAC is the Wi-Fi chips identifier. I don't know what your comment means, but that's wrong. MAC ID. MAC is for both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So, yeah. Steve Johansson is having a rum cake. Where are you from, Steve Johansson? I know you're on Brax Me, but I'm just wondering if you're in the USA or someplace else. So Simon Pickup is here. My good friend from Periscope, Simon Pickup. My gosh, from the UK, and he's stayed awake just to watch this broadcast. I am so happy to see you, Simon Pickup. Fedora 35 update says Arduino IDE won't work on it. Oh, anyway. Okay, I shouldn't be reading the comments because you're talking to each other over here. So, anyway, forgive my status here, my situation, which is a few extra margaritas than I expected. I actually had a few more margaritas than I expected to drink because I was talking to the owner of the restaurant, and this was a restaurant that asked for ID and vaccination card. Okay, just to make it clear to you guys, I am not anti-vaccine. I am not an anti-vax person. Some of you are anti-vax. That's okay. I don't force anything on anyone. But I'm triple vax. I just got my third booster shot yesterday. So I'm triple vax now. So I went to the restaurant, and I just had to ask the owner what the owner thought about the fact that they had to check IDs, check the vax card. And the guy said to me, the owner said to me, I'm going to ask them, because it's required by law, I'm going to ask them if they have a vax card. I'm going to ask them for their ID because it's required by law. But if they say, Zuck, I don't want to give you my ID, I don't want to give you my vax card, he's not going to argue. He's going to let him in. And I said, man, you just made a customer. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to come back to this restaurant just because of your attitude, which is, flexible. So he said, well, I can't enforce it. I can't call the cops because you don't have a vax card. So if it can't be enforced, I'm going to do my job, which is to require that I ask. And once I ask, I've done my duty, I've asked, and it doesn't require me to enforce it. And I said, wow, that's cool. Now, I'm triple vax, so I don't have to worry about it. But the owner of the restaurant is like me. It's like, if you're triple vaxxed, your reaction is, so what if you're not vaxxed or vaxxed? That's up to you. Take care of your business. It's your responsibility. I took care of myself. You take care of yourself. You make your choice. So that's my belief. You don't force anyone to do it. You do whatever you want to do. And it's cool, man. Do whatever you want to do. And if YouTube doesn't like that, too bad, because I'm not going to go force you. You do what you want to do. So anyway, that is not the topic. Sorry. So, the topic tonight is about my friend bringing a 10-year-old girl to my boat. So, my guest brought their daughter to my boat, who's 10. And and she basically played with TikTok all night on my boat. And one of the things that was kind of funny was that the mother, and I was talking to the mother, you know, and who's around my age, and I said, I hope she's not on Instagram or Facebook or any of that. So the mother asked, are you on Instagram? Are you on Facebook? Mostly she asked about Instagram. And the fact that she had to ask means she doesn't even know if the daughter was on Instagram on the phone. She was on an iPhone. And goodness, maybe we don't understand the implications of that. But it's not the kid's fault. It's not. Don't blame the kid. The kid has nothing to do with this. It's up to the parent. The parent makes a decision. The parent decides what kind of device you should give to a kid. And you give a device to a kid, and you don't supervise the kid, and you give her an email address. And with that email address, that kid is able to log into TikTok, to Instagram, to whatever, Discord or whatever platform, just based on the email address, which could be an email address that the parent set up for the kid, or maybe the kid set up a Gmail address on her own, which is even more scary. And then you set that up on a mobile phone, and suddenly that thing is now spying on you, and the kid who's 10 does not understand the risk of being on the internet. Yes, guys. I'm going to be frank with you. I've had a lot of adult beverages. I have had a lot of adult beverages tonight, and you can tell from the way I'm speaking. But I'm very sane with what I'm telling you, and that is, wow, just imagine authorizing a kid to go into any platform, set up a fake Gmail account or any Gmail account, and being able to go into any platform at the age of 10. And this, by the way, is a very, very pretty 10-year-old. This 10-year-old will grow up to be like, a very hot-looking 18-year-old when the time comes. But she is, very pretty kid. And to be instructing this kid to go on social media at the age of 10, I mean, seriously, guys. If you have a 10-year-old and you're having them go on social media with no statement about the dangers of social media or even explaining what the risks are, that's pretty crazy. So I'm going to tell you a story. This is real. I used to be on the platform Periscope. In case you didn't know, Periscope is a live streaming platform. Live streaming. And I remember watching a live stream on Periscope with a bunch of kids, 2 girls, who were, I'm going to guess, 12, maybe 12. And they were on live streaming, and their parents were, nearby. I could hear them on the broadcast. And these kids were broadcasting, live streaming, 2 girls, live streaming, and all the weirdos were on the live stream. This is a couple of 12-year-olds. And on the live stream, you can hear, on the live stream, you can see all the weirdos in Periscope asking them to take their clothes off. I mean, Zuck. And you think the internet is zucking safe. this is pretty crazy, guys. To let your kids go on Periscope or any live streaming platform, or even on any platform, be it Instagram or TikTok, and allow a kid to broadcast, and they probably use the real name because they don't know anything, right? So they post with an account with their real name on it because nobody told them anything. And then they start doing things at 10 years old. 10! My gosh, 10! And then you expect them to look back at 18 and say, did I really post that at 10? 10? My gosh, that's a baby. 10? And you guys have kids and you give your kids phones and you say, well, they can't use the Google phones. They're going to have to be given real phones because, they have to be cool with their friends. Well, that's a stupid concept. That's a stupid concept. My concept is if you have kids, why would you give them any kind of phone with any kind of access to the internet on a phone before they're 14, before they're like in 8th grade in middle school, before 8th grade? I don't know why you would do that. I don't know why you would do that. I mean, you're basically giving a kid who's very immature, doesn't know the impact of the internet, the fact that the internet is permanent, and you're coming to me and saying, well, this Rob Braxton guy is drunk anyway, so who cares? Who cares what he says? I'm just telling you right now that, yes, I'm going to admit to you right now that I've had a few drinks. And strangely enough, I'm going to look back at this broadcast and I've had a few drinks, and I'm going to tell you in a very sane way that it's really bad to give a kid who's 10 years old access to the internet without any kind of guidance and saying, yeah, you can use any app you want to use on the internet. I mean, even Facebook and Instagram and all of this have a minimum of 13 years old before you can even go into those platforms. And yet here's a 10-year-old kid that's allowed to go anywhere because the parents do not have the time to super zucking vise. You don't want to supervise. It's like, okay, oh yeah, I mean, you go to the internet and here's a phone. Don't bother me. I'm having a zucking party. I'm having drinks with my friend Rob. We're having a party here. And yeah, 10-year-old kid, do whatever you want in the corner. Do whatever you want. You're free to do whatever you want. Nobody's going to supervise you. And you can go to TikTok. You can go to Instagram. You can do whatever you want. Anyway, I brought it up because they all know what I do. And the parent says, are you on Instagram, kid? Are you on Instagram? The kid says, no, I'm not on Instagram. How do you really know that kid is not on Instagram, where they will track you forever and ever? But that kid was on TikTok. That kid said, I am on TikTok. Which means it's not just TikTok. It's whatever app happens to be fashionable for these kids. And just remind you that so many years ago, I'm going to guess around 2012, the popular app in 2012, which is 10 years ago, was Snapchat. And, in case you didn't know what Snapchat was used for by the teenagers of the time, the high schoolers of the time, they were using it for sexting. Because Snapchat promised that the video will disappear after so many seconds. And so once you view it, it disappears. Such a fake promise because you can, in fact, capture everything. And people did things on Snapchat that you would never think to do today because you said, oh my gosh, somebody can capture that data. Somebody can capture that whatever you do on Snapchat. And 10-year-old kids getting access to Snapchat? Oh my gosh. Okay, now let me just tell you something here that just so you understand. It is not the kid's fault. Don't blame the kid. It is not the kid's fault. It's the responsibility of the sucking parent. It's the parent's fault. If you choose to let your kid have access to Snapchat and TikTok and all of this at the age of sucking 10, then it is your sucking responsibility. You are supposed to know that the internet is permanent. You are supposed to know that you cannot erase something on the internet with a real sucking name. You're supposed to know that. If you come to the internet and you have a kid who doesn't know anything, and they put their real sucking name on there, and they put their friends' names, and they go search for all their friends, and they start doing things without adult supervision, what the suck is happening here? Why would you expect a 10-year-old to know this? The 10-year-old will not know this. It is not their fault. It is not a 10-year-old's fault. This kid that I saw was such a nice little kid. Nice kid at 10. And I said, wow. This kid is going to get corrupted very fast if the parents don't go in there and say, stop. Can you imagine a kid getting access to email and getting access to being able to set up new accounts without the parents setting up the account? It was the kid setting up her own account on the internet and was like, zuck. You let the kids set up their own account. They can set up accounts on Periscope back in the day of Periscope and do live streams and do whatever weird things that they feel like they don't understand it. And they don't understand that there are evil people in this world doing evil things. And it's like, suck, you let that happen. And I'm going to tell you that on Periscope, there were various people who work for the three-letter agencies, and they talked to me, like contractors of the Zucking BI, and they would go on Periscope to try to hunt down these people who would pedophiles. And they would hunt down these people and then, say, okay, they're going to these sites that have kids and they're going to attack the kids. And it's like, how dumb are you as a parent that you let this happen? At 10, oh my gosh, 10. What does a 10-year-old know? Nothing. And you're saying that, well, the kids have to be cool. Their friends are all on social media. And therefore, your kids have to be cool too and be on social media. And it's like, you know what? I don't care about the zucking parents who put their kids on social media. I say, zuck you. You're a bunch of idiots. If you put your kids on social media at the age of 10, or even 13. Like, that's your fault. That's not my fault. You're raising a different generation of kids here. Well, this is really sad, guys, because it's basically making, I've seen the generations from the millennials do whatever they do on the internet. Those millennials are now in they're 40. The millennials are now approaching 40. And Then you have the next generation, the Gen Z generation, and they're starting to, they're in the internet. They're the teenagers of today, and now you're actually looking at the 10-year-olds. Oh my gosh! I mean, they're 20 years behind the millennials, and you're like letting them go on the internet unsupervised, and you're saying, well, I gotta, my kids have to be cool because the way this generation works, they can't find dates unless they're on the internet. It's like, Zuck, who zucking cares? Did you know that the internet is permanent? I mean, that alone should just give you a little bit of guidance. The internet is permanent. Do I need to say more? The internet is permanent. What you say and what you do at the age of 10, OMG, 10. What the heck are you going to say at 10 that could even be significant compared to even 18? I mean, that's 8 years later. 10, an immature person going on the internet saying things at 10. And if the kid looks attractive, like this one kid I'm talking about here, is a very pretty girl at 10. OMG. I mean, I can just imagine the kind of abuse she'll get just by being on TikTok and potential other platforms that she did not reveal. And it's like, why would you as a parent allow this? Why would you give the kid at 10 or 9 access to a mobile phone, access to a Gmail or any kind of address? They could set up their own Gmail without telling you, and go on any platform without telling you, and on the phone, and you would say, okay, because you don't expect their phone and you don't really know what they're doing on the phone, and you just want the kid to be doing things on the side without bothering you while you're having a party with your friends. And as much as I love my friends, my friends are very cool, but I felt really, really bad about a kid doing things in the background. She didn't have anybody in her own age group, so she just stayed on the mobile phone and doing things in the background. And I said, Zach, that is really bad. That is really bad. So guys, no. Don't allow your kids to be on a mobile phone at that age. I wanted to go on the ocean. Natasha wants to go on the ocean. Why do you want to go to the ocean, Natasha? I never have enough. So anyway, yes, I've had enough to drink. I've had a lot of margaritas. To be honest with you, I hung around at a restaurant where I know the owner, and the owner said, "Let me buy you some more drinks," and I had too much. And so I'm telling you this kind of from the bottom of my heart, because I've had a lot of adult beverages. But I really feel bad about, a 10-year-old being exposed to the internet. And I don't think a 10-year-old should be exposed to the evil that's in the world that is magnified on the internet. The internet is a magnification of all the problems in the world, not counting the tracking. And by the way, this is really funny. So the adults in the room showed off their iPhone 13 Pros. And I said, Zuck, why would you think that an iPhone 13 Pro is such a good deal, that's such a great phone? Okay, well, I showed my phone. I have a de-Googled This is a 4A, Pixel 4A. So this, it's the newest model from this year, from not the newest model from the following year, because December they come up with new models. But mine is a 4A, which was released for 2021. So I have a 2021 phone, and not really much of a problem. I'm not sure this is any different than my 2020 phone, which was a Pixel 4. Good phone. This is actually kind of a step down because it's a 4A. The 4 was a better phone because it's glass and it had wireless charging. The 4A does not have wireless charging. But the big plus of a 4A was that it had a headphone jack. So you can see it has a headphone jack. So it's cheaper phone, but newer. So this is basically just a few months old. This phone is only a few months old. And it's enough. I mean, I don't put my life on my phone. The phone is not my life. Whatever I do that, like banking and anything important, I do on a computer. I don't put it on the phone, not just like some of you. And you're training your kids at the age of 10 that they should rely on a talking phone. At the age of 10, you're telling the kid, oh yeah, everything you do has to be done on the phone because the phone is your life. And that's not me. The phone is not my life. Okay, I went back. I'm past my 30-minute mark here. So let me stop with my topic here. My topic stops at 30 minutes, which is my promise to you that I only talk about the topic for 30 minutes and then it's Q&A after that. And before I do that, I'm going to talk to you about Linode. So Linode is my sponsor. And more than a sponsor, I really, even as I've had adult beverages, I am really appreciative of Linode. Linode has been, Linode runs most of my servers, most of my resources on the internet. Most of the services I provide to you are running on Linode. And they're just an awesome company. I mean, the tech support, the price, the honesty of how I deal with them. This is like a private company, but they're really solid and just much more reliable than AWS, which, as you know, failed several times this week. Shut down my services because I still use AWS and a few things. And I wish I could turn everything off to AWS, but I can't do that immediately. But Linode has been the cloud service of my choice. And if you're thinking about cloud services, you really should think about Linode. I mean, it's just awesome people with the best tech support and the best pricing that I can get. So that's all I need to say. I don't need to say more. They're if you need to set up a server and you need a cloud server provider, Linode is the best for you. Asus phones. I don't even know if there's an Asus phone. I don't even know of any Asus phone. Natasha Kayleen, thank you so much. Of course, I'm not where you are. I gather you're in Washington State. And I'm not traveling to Washington State anytime soon. So I guess I got to come up with an excuse to come up to Washington State. What are your thoughts about AWS issue? What is the AWS issue? You mean they're shut down? I still use AWS, but it's not a major part of what I do now. My app Brax.me still runs on AWS, and I'll be there for at least probably mid-year, mid 2022, because I have a contract, and maybe after that I'll move it to Linode. But at the moment, I'm stuck. If my brother uses TikTok on his phone connected to my tablet's hotspot, does that compromise my tablet? If my brother uses TikTok on his phone connected to my father's hotspot, does that compromise? That doesn't tell me anything. Where's your tablet? What is it connected to? TikTok, of course, is a Chinese company that could be tracking you, but as much as people say, and this 10-year-old kid that I'm talking about was using TikTok, the fact of the matter is, and it's a video that I'm going to come up with next week, is to explain to you that the phone does not have an identity unless it's a Google app. So a TikTok app does not know the identity of the phone. It knows only what Google wants to share with it, which is not much. So how much does TikTok actually know compared to Google? Probably, I'm going to guess not much. Google knows a hell of a lot about this phone. Anything you do on the phone, Google knows. If it's Google, this is the Google, so it doesn't know anything. So I want to talk about that in my next video. It's kind of a Christmas video, so nobody's going to watch it anyway. But I want to teach you something very basic about how the phone is interpreted by Google. If your phone is de-Googled, what does it know about the phone? It's a lot less than what you think. So, to be honest with you, a de-Googled phone is kind of awesome. Okay. Yeah, I know I've had a lot of adult beverages, but I'm going to tell you that what the heck can Google know about the phone? Now, I've told you about a mistake I made. I actually went to DuckDuckGo on this phone, and I went to Gmail on this phone, connected to Gmail on an account I didn't have. And I made several videos about that, and I told you about the problem with Google tracking the phone, even though I was just on Gmail on a browser. I didn't even have an app. And as much as I panicked over that, think about what Google knew about the phone. Actually, Google didn't know which phone I had. It just knew I had a phone. It knew I had a Pixel. It was a Pixel 4. It's not this phone. It's another phone. It knew I had a Pixel 4. This is a Pixel 4a. It knew I had a Pixel 4, but it didn't know much more than that. It didn't know the IMEI, the identifier that revealed to them who owned the phone. So they did not have a fixed identity on the phone. This is a very, very important video. May not seem to be very important, but I think this understanding is very important. If they don't know the identity of the phone, then they really have nothing. Because what is to differentiate this Pixel from another Pixel? What if I had, this is a customer's Pixel here. This is a Pixel 4 from a customer. Okay, a customer sent this to me, blocking the name in there, to fix. This is a Pixel 4. This is a Pixel 4a. This is my phone. They don't know anything about who owns which phone. They only know a Pixel, some sort of Pixel model. It doesn't tie to a specific identity. And you don't know the very specific benefit of that. If Google doesn't know the identity, they can't do much to it because they don't know for sure who it is. And this is a very, very important point. If they don't know the identity of the phone, like who's using it, what can they say about who exactly is saying something on the internet? They cannot say that because they don't know who exactly it is. For example, if they base it only on IP address, let's just say that they capture the IP address of the phone, and that's all they captured was the IP address. And let's say everyone in your household is using the Google phone. And let's say you're even on a VPN, but okay, the VPN makes it pretty much useless for them. But let's say it's just your household. And in your household, everyone's using a Google phone. What can they really get? Who is saying what on the internet? They don't know for sure. And if someone in your household has a different belief system than you, then the data will get obscured because they don't know anything. They can't be certain. Okay, this IP address, in one comment that they track, the comment appears to be a Democrat, and then in another comment, the person appears to be a Republican, and in another comment, the person appears to be in the middle. That confuses the AI because the AI doesn't know anything exactly unless they have the IMEI, meaning the exact identity of the phone. So this will be my next video. I'm going to tell you that unless they have a specific identity on the phone, they have nothing. This is why I tell you that a Google phone is like incredibly awesome device. I have to look back and I say, my gosh, I actually logged into Google on my other phone, left Google running. It was tracking my IP address on the phone because I forgot that I even logged into Google on DuckDuckGo on this phone. And I'm thinking to myself, what does Google know about me? And the answer is nothing. It doesn't know anything. Because it doesn't know exactly who was on that phone. It's amazing. So anyway, that's just a little detail that I need you to know about the fact that it's not enough to have a phone. They have to have an identity. And the identity is the IMEI. If they don't get the IMEI, and you can't get the IMEI if you have the Google phone, they don't have. Secret, guys, they don't have anything. Where can I buy one? Oh, you can flash one on your own if you're techie. Otherwise, you can go to my store, and I sell the Google phones. But you can buy anything you want that's de-Googled without Google apps if you watch my video. So yeah, you can. You don't have to buy from me. It's not necessary to think that I'm doing this for marketing for myself. I provide a service where I do it for you. But if you're more techie, you can do it yourself. And if you do it yourself, you can do whatever you want. You can load Linode OS, Calyx, Graphene, whatever you want. It's up to you. You can choose whatever you want. And they're all good. They're all good. I don't have a choice. If you say, I don't believe you, I'm going to load Graphene. Fine. That's fine. If you, I heard from Naomi Brocqua, and she suggests that you should use Graphene. That's good. I have no problem with that. Those are all good. So I load Lineage OS here because that's enough for what we do, and it doesn't have to be too complex, and it protects your privacy. Can they secretly turn on your camera and see? Not if it's a Google phone. There's no Google on here. There's no Google on here. Calyx OS is fine. Yes, I'm not going to tell you that any kind of custom ROM is bad. It's good as long as it does not have gaps, Google apps. It's good. I don't care what kind it is. It's good. It's good. Can you feed me, Natasha? I mean, you want to feed me? I've had enough alcohol. If you want to feed me alcohol, I've had enough of that. I have a Band-Aid on mine. Yeah, so you're worried about the camera on it. On a 4A, the camera is in the corner over there. I don't cover my camera. I cover my computers. On the camera, I just give them rights on Android. Android, open source, make sure that the only apps that can control the camera are those apps that got rights to it. And I trust it. It's pretty good. Must not have gaps. Great Gold is such an expert now. So, yeah, Great Gold has been around here so long. He's such an expert. Talk about Aladdin AI. I don't know what Aladdin is. Time for well juice on the rocks for you, Rob. Well juice? So today was margarita day. I had lots of margaritas, but typically I don't drink margaritas, but today was margarita day. All sensors off. I can't tell you how much tech support I have because I actually have the sensors off button. So on your phone, there's a sensor on the Google phone. It comes from me, I have a sensors off button, which is the first button. Is it the first button in mine? I guess not here. Oh, I guess I stopped doing it, but on many of the phones I've shipped previously, there's a sensors off button. If you turn it off, you don't have any sensors, and it stops the GPS, the camera, and everything else. And then people call me for tech support about the camera, so I have turned it off. It's just too much of a pain because people don't understand what it is. So anyway, if you have a newer version of mine, I do not turn on sensors off anymore, but you can turn it on. It's in developer settings. You took credit cards. Mine is first button. Wi-Fi off at night too. So anyway, I'm just kind of giving you okay, let me just try and summarize what I see here in the comments. I wish the phones on Rob's site were in CAD. CAD? Alberto European. Yes, I am drunk. I admit it. Do I sound drunk? But I'm giving you. I may be drunk, but I know what I'm telling you. It's pretty solid what I'm telling you. I'm not telling you the wrong info here. Okay. So, thank you, Steve Johansson. Thank you. Johansson sounds like you're, from the, Sweden, Denmark, and Norway here. So, that sounds like a Nordic kind of name. Canadian dollars. Okay, only a little bro. No, I'm more than tipsy. I've had a lot of drinks, but it's kind of wearing off now. Is there a way to change the icons on a Google phone without gaps? What icons are you talking about? The icons are determined by the makers of the app. You can't change the icons other than what the app provides. Jeffrey CCP owns, I don't know what that means. Double J, Wisconsin. I don't know what that means too, but yes, I'm going to be frank with you. I used to live in Wisconsin. This is why I have a special appreciation for people in Wisconsin, because I lived in Wisconsin for many years. So so I lived close to a decade in Wisconsin, and so I have a special appreciation for the people in Wisconsin. Even though I live in Commie, California, yes, I appreciate the fact that yes, I know where I live. Don't like it, but it is where I am. I live in California, and yes, Wisconsin sounds like Johansson. No, Johansson sounds like he's from Norway. When are you moving to Texas? You know, that really sounds simple, but I don't think I'm moving anywhere. If anything, I'll go out on my boat and I can go anywhere I want, right? So I'm not moving anywhere. I've been here I used to live in Wisconsin, and now I live in California. It's pretty hard to say, oh, I'm going to go move to XYZ. Not going to happen. Yes, just in case. What the Zuck? You used to live in Wisconsin? Zuck! Yes, I used to live in Wisconsin in the cold. So, and yeah, they looked at me and thought I was weird. This Asian guy that's in Wisconsin. Yes, I understand that, but I was there. I lived in Wisconsin for many, many years. Boat through Panama Canal. Yeah. What does it cost to? I think it costs at least $5,000 to cross the Panama Canal. At least. Plus, you have to hire crew for that. Yeah, if I had time to do it, but I got to make videos. I can't do it. So, you always give freely great info. Thank you, Encapsulation Peruse. I hope I do. That's what makes me unique. One of the unique things about my channel, I hope that, it's kind of unique, and it's something I learned in social media, is that you have to engage the users. And what's unique about me is I don't I'm not a standoff kind of creator where I just do the videos and I don't talk to you. As you know, most of you hear from me. I actually talk to you on the comments. I actually talk to you in the live stream. I talk to you in the comments. That makes me very different. I'm not your usual creator that just acts like there's somehow they're so special that they can't demean themselves to talk to their subscribers. That is not the case with me. I'm used to live streams. I was doing live streams for 7 zucking years on Periscope before I went to YouTube. So I know that engaging with the users, with the followers, is very important. So that's why I actually lose every time I do a live stream. I lose around 40 subs every time I do a live stream. So it's not exactly positive for me to do a live stream, but it strengthens my connection with the subscriber base that I have, and allows me to hear what you have in mind, and it gives me ideas for the next video. You need a Brax phone update. Okay, Steve V. Sorry. Steve V. Okay, so I have a Brax phone coming up. It's going to be a mid-level Android phone. I'm expecting it'll be priced under $400, and it will be a Brax phone. I'm expecting it will be called Brax X2, Brax 2, and it'll be a model that will be like a mid-level Android phone, and it's going to be available in February. So I'm dealing with the supplier right now, And so I'm expecting to have my own model Brax phone sometime in February. So it'll be like a less expensive phone choice. It's going to be a brand new phone, and it's going to be available probably around February. That's the plan. So it's going to be, I'm going to guess, I'm going to shoot for, a price of, somewhere close to 350. 350. It's a brand new phone. It's not used. So I'll make that available then. Okay? 2 months away roughly. Hopefully less than 2 months. So I've already looked at the phone, and I'm getting a sample, and I'm going to make a final decision when I get the sample. Hopefully soon, maybe here in December, and then placing my first order, and then it'll be AOSP Brax phone coming out sometime in February. So that's the plan right now. Okay. Is it Chinese? Well, all phones are made in China. So as I said in the last video, that doesn't mean anything though. Don't be afraid of the fact that they're assembled in China. The motherboards and so on are made by Qualcomm and MediaTek, and they're not made in China. So don't assume that they can put spyware on there. I don't think they can. Okay, so just Natasha, you can always come to BraxMe, and you can always talk to me directly on BraxMe. You don't have to go. I'm not that hidden. I'm on BraxMe. Ubuntu Touch phones are the dream. The problem with Ubuntu Touch, guys, is that Ubuntu Touch is not working anymore for me in the US on the Ubuntu Touch models that I used to sell. I used to sell Nexus 5 with Ubuntu Touch. I don't have any model that the Ubuntu Touch will work on. So I'm kind of stuck. I've not been distributing an Ubuntu Touch because there's no model I can use it on. So it's kind of a problem. Chinese spyware on hardware. So I discussed that in my last video. It's actually kind of difficult for them to do it because it's an SoC, system on a chip. And most of those come from Qualcomm or MediaTek or some combination thereof. And because of the way they're manufactured, if you buy one of those chips from Qualcomm, they're an SoC. They're already made as a chip with all the stuff on there. The baseband modem, the CPU for the Snapdragon's made by Qualcomm. There really is no way for China to insert itself into those kinds of SoCs. So to be honest with you, it is not likely unless they make their own phones that are not based on a USA maker. And most of the phones are made, by USA makers just because of patents. So you can't have an Android phone that's not made by either Qualcomm or MediaTek. MediaTek is Taiwan. So because you can't get an SoC or system on a chip that's not coming from Taiwan or USA, where does a company like a Huawei insert malware? The only place they can insert malware is really on the OEM area, and that's easily spotted. So I'm going to say, just don't get Huawei, and you're going to be fine. I think the chances of getting malware aside from Huawei is pretty good. So like Motorola is partially owned by IBM and Google. It's owned mostly by Lenovo. So Lenovo owns like 85% of the company that makes Motorola, and Yeah, I don't think it's likely that you can insert. I don't know how you could do it and get caught and not get caught because of the fact that it's based on an SoC, system on a chip. What about Intel Management Engine? What about it? I've talked about that in so many videos. I use Snapdragon Xiaomi with Linux OS. Did I get spied on? Um, I'm gonna get probably not. You know, Xiaomi probably not. Um, Huawei probably more. Xiaomi is not locked, so you can go into Xiaomi and unlock the bootloader. So I think it might be okay. Anyone that has an unlocked bootloader, you can check and see what code they have on there. How to switch off Wi-Fi roaming. I'm not sure what the significance of that is. Will you pick me up? Pick you up? What do you think about using a virtual machine in your phone? Like, okay, Android is already a virtual machine. I don't know if you know how Android works. Android is a virtual machine. That's how Android works. It's a Java virtual machine. All apps on Android are running in a virtual machine already. And because of that, you cannot do anything on a virtual machine inside Android that is not allowed by AOSP, Android Open Source Project, which is based on permissions. So it's pretty robust. It's very good. Is there a difference in fluidity when using Windows virtual machines on a 120 hertz monitor? Yeah. I mean, 120 hertz assumes you care. You know, you're using NVIDIA, and most of the virtual machines don't care about NVIDIA. So no, there's a limitation. There's a limitation. Yeah, the virtual machine has to support NVIDIA. Will you ever have Samsung, Huawei, or Sony de-Google phones? Samsung cannot be de-Googled unless it's based in the USA, and I've decided not to do those. Huawei, no. I already explained to you, they're already de-Googled by nature, but they're locked bootloaders, so you can't really do anything to them. Sony is okay, except they're really European models. I cannot really get a stock of Sony's in the US, and because of that, I can't really handle them because they don't have stock here. It's not really a US specific model. I don't know why they're not popular in the US, but I can't get them in the US. So if I can't get them in volume, I'm not going to bother with them. CCP on TikTok too. Yes. Is PinePhone Pro out for normal people now or just developers? I'm going to say at the moment developers. eFoundation has Sony de-Google phones. eFoundation mostly focuses on Samsung. They focus on supplies they can get in the EU. And yes, they can get Sony's in the EU and they can get Samsung's in the EU. I can't get them here. I have to buy in volume. If I can only get one or two, I'm not going to waste my time. I got to get them in volume. So in the US, I can only get volume of Motorola's, OnePlus, sometimes, not all the time, and Pixels. I have a lot of Pixels because I can get them in the US. I'm obviously one of the biggest buyers of used phones in the US. So because of that, I'm able to get a large stock. So if I'm going to sell it to you, I better be able to get the stock. So I can't get the stock if it's like, once in a while. If I can't only stock once in a while, then I can't offer it. So I have to get like, if I can get a large bulk of a particular phone, then I'll support it. But I can't get that for most models. Like even OnePlus models are not really that popular in the U.S. I can't get a lot of it. I can get a lot of Motorola's. I can get a lot of Pixels in the U.S. So it's different. It's different where you are. I snooped on my daughter and have no regrets. You should snoop on your daughter. If your daughter is a minor, you should snoop on your daughter. Don't think about it as snooping. That's called supervision. Supervision. I can't imagine. I've talked to so many parents here who really expect that they don't have to supervise kids on the internet. And it's like, suck. What do you think the internet is? You're the parent. You should know the internet is a very bad place. The CCP is paying YouTubers to spread propaganda about them. Okay. Could be true. Okay, so in my case, you can see I only take very limited sponsors. At the moment, I only have 2 sponsors. In fact, I could say I've only had 3. This is really funny about my channel. For my size channel, I should have many sponsors. I've only had 3 sponsors ever. 3 ever. I've just ignored everyone else. My 3 sponsors in the life of my channel has been Linode, StartPage, and YubiKey. And YubiKey was only a short-term sponsor. So my 2 sponsors have been longer term. Has only been Linode and StartPage. And that's not because they're not at my door. I mean, I get tons. I get asked about sponsorship daily. They all want to be in my channel, and I don't really, I'd rather promote my own products than anybody else's products. I have to believe in the product for me to be able to suggest it to you, and if I'm not suggesting it, then I must have a reason for not suggesting it. So I have very, very limited sponsorships. In the lifetime of this channel, I've only had 3, which is, think about it, that's pretty unusual. That channel, only 3 sponsors for the life of the channel. So it's not about the money. I don't really care about how much money I get from the sponsor. The fact of the matter is, my main sponsor is my company, Brax Mobile, that has Bytes VPN, Google phones, VPN routers, Brax Mail. All that's from my channel, and I don't need anybody else. I don't really care if nobody ever comes to me for sponsorship. I don't need anybody else. And yeah, so don't need any other channel. But if I believe in them, there's companies that I would consider to be a sponsor if they approach me, if I believed in them. And if they came in here and said, could you sponsor me? I'd probably say yes to some that I know are compatible with what I believe. So, yeah. 4 sponsors, Zuckbook. No, Zuckbook is definitely not a sponsor. What's your opinion on 5G? I have videos in that. So just watch my video on the 5G. It's not an old video. Natasha, again, I'm on Braxme. You don't have to go go crazy on chat here. It's, I'm on Braxme. Okay, Zaking Meda, yes. Zaking Meda. Hope Raspberry Pi can sponsor you. No, Raspberry Pi is not going to sponsor me. I mean, I'm just, one buyer of Raspberry Pi products. Raspberry Pi itself is they're probably the largest seller of computers, be it albeit cheap computers. They probably sell more computers than anybody else in the world. They sell their $50 computers, and their $50 computers are probably the most popular in the world. So no, I don't have any influence over Raspberry Pi. What's the best first step to unsuck my life? Brax VPN, Linux computer, the Google phone. Believe it or not, it's really kind of simple. Since most of the threats are really related to being tracked by big tech, it's really simple. The Google phone and a VPN. Start with that. If you're not even there, you really have no place to start. It's really that simple. VPN. Excuse me. It doesn't have to be my VPN, but a VPN. Excuse me. A VPN and the Google phone. It doesn't even have to be my Google phone. It could be Calyx and Graphene and whatever you want. It doesn't matter. I don't really come in here and demand that you use a particular kind of the Google phone. Any kind of the Google phone is going to do it for you. So you got to start from there. That's the two basic things. If you're not even there, then you're not going to get anywhere. You can start your disinformation campaign as soon as you have the basic. Mad Cow is good. Yeah, that's... Rob is too drunk. Yeah, well, actually, I'm not drunk anymore because I lost that. Yeah, I'm sorry. I've been here an hour and a half and I've lost it. I'm not drunk anymore. Would you ever consider degoogling any other smart device like Linode or other tabletop Google Assistant type devices back to their Android roots? You can't de-Google a device that's made by Google specifically, like a Google Home device cannot be de-Googled. So the only way to de-Google is the open source for Google for Android. That's the only thing we have right now. Otherwise, we can't do anything. So, do you need to de-Google that? Why are you buying, like Google Nest and all that? Why do you think you need to do that? Why do you need to think you need to get Amazon Ring cameras and all that? Don't get those. It's just really simple. Don't get them. You're better off for getting some Chinese company. Believe it or not, you're better off, yes, getting a Chinese zucking camera than using Nest or Ring. Much better off. Yes, I used to sell, I used to sell cameras for the home. But I can't make this anymore. So I made these, and these actually mount on a home. There's a mount there, and you can mount it as a camera in your home. It's a PoE. So I made these, but I cannot make them anymore. So unfortunately, I it just takes too much time and can't do it. My family has all that stuff when I visit. I cringe when I go in the house. Maggie Smith, smart that you even realize that. Do you sell laptops and phones or just phones? Just in case, you can if you want to be safe, it's very simple. Get a Linux laptop. So my current laptop, just so you understand, I'm using a Linux. I'm using Pop! OS on a Dell XPS 13, brand new. So if you have a Dell XPS, you can buy Dell XPS brand new. You can install Linux on it. I'm using Pop! OS on it. I'm going to tell you, I don't notice anything different. It's fine. I can do anything I want to do. And I really have no limitations on Pop! OS running on a, what do you call this? A Dell XPS 13. Okay? So, Dell XPS 13, they actually sell you a Linux model. It's compatible with Linux. They sell you a Linux model for, I think, $100 or $200 more than the Windows version. And I said, why would they charge more for that? Just get the Windows version, install Linux on it, installs fine. It installs perfectly. I've been using Linux on it for the last few months. It's perfect. There's not an issue. I can't tell you anything wrong with it. It works just great. Didn't you say that there is a data collection even when there is data collection device nearby? Didn't you say that there is data collection even when there is data collection device nearby? I don't understand what you said there, Maggie. Do you have any opinions on System 76 in general? System 76 is a great company. Great company. Buy from them. If you want Linux machine, System 76 is great. Kind of expensive, but aside from that, I mean, I typically, my other laptops that use for Linux are from Star Laptops because System 76 was a bit more on the expensive side. Star Laptops is a little cheaper. But I found that if I want a high-end machine, I just use a Dell XPS 13. And Dell XPS always supports Linux historically. Do the Xbox Series X or PS5 have any spyware? I wouldn't worry about Xbox at all. I don't think they don't collect your data anyway, so there's kind of a limited amount of information that Xbox can get from you. Thank you. Any suggestions on places to buy? Well, I bought my Dell XPS 13 from Dell. I bought a Star laptop from Star Laptop. You can buy from System 76. I don't necessarily recommend Purism to sell Librem 13s. They tend to be out of date. They tend to, I purchased a Librem 5 from Purism and I never got it. I still don't have it. And somebody sent me a Librem 5, and it's not working. Won't even start. So, I don't know. The company's just not up and up here. What is your opinion on Arch Linux? Arch Linux is used by Manjaro, and I have Manjaro on a virtual machine. Arch Linux tends to be to use less resources. Use whatever you want to use. Xbox doesn't need your data. They're really getting your money. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about gaming so much. It's not really a source of your data. Yes, 10 minutes. Ancient. Is it worth going to developer settings in my Galaxy and turning off permissions? It's always important to turn off permissions, but you cannot turn off Google permissions. That's the main problem. You cannot turn off Google permissions unless you have a de-Googled phone. You have to remove the Gap software on there. What do you suggest for inexpensive end of purchase for computer versus laptop? For inexpensive, Star Laptop is probably the most inexpensive new computer. Otherwise, you can get an old, used Lenovo, and they are usually Linux compatible. So you can get a used X1 Carbon Lenovo, and they are, for $500, and they are Linux compatible, and they're cheaper. So yeah, you can do it. So yeah, don't be wary about getting used computers. Some used computers like Lenovo are, they're typically corporate models, and 5 years later they're still pretty good for non-corporate use. So they're kind of expensive when they were sold initially, but used they're fine. I purchased many Lenovo's. I had I had many Lenovo T430s, and I used Linux on them. And yeah, so we used them here in our office for a long time, and they're cheap. You can buy them for $200, and they're kind of old now, so I don't use them anymore. But they're cheap. I'm tired of dealing with Log4j. Well, Braxme does not use Log4j, so I'm not affected by that, fortunately. IBM ThinkPad is a Lenovo. There's no IBM anymore. It's Lenovo ThinkPad. Can you change processors on those? Typically on a laptop you cannot. I love ThinkPads, but am worried about using computers being infected with malware. I don't think you need to worry about that too much. Okay, I have a 6-minute warning actually. So ThinkPads, which are made by Lenovo, used to be IBM. Now Lenovo was sold to a Chinese company, which is still partially owned by IBM, and Motorola, which makes the phones, are made by Lenovo, which is still partially owned by Google. Google actually bought Motorola. So I like Motorola's. They're actually pretty good phones, and they're good Android. The Google phones. I sell a lot of the Google Motorola's. Okay, LEX. Okay, so anyway, running out of time here. I only have 5 minutes. So thank you, Rob124. Now something interesting about my broadcast here. Every time I do a live stream, I lose 40 subscribers. Can you explain that to me? Obviously, my live streams are not watched by new subscribers. YouTube doesn't feed them to new subscribers, but to existing subscribers. And it's funny that I lose 40. This is every time. So, yeah. So I know that it's Christmas time and people aren't really watching my videos. And that's okay. It is what it is. So I have to make sure that my topics are not too major, because otherwise they're not going to get reception during Christmas time. So, but my next video is going to, because that's what I'm working on right now, is to explain to you how the identity of the phone is really the basic thing you need to understand. A Google phone has no identity, and that's a very, very major piece. It doesn't have to be so sophisticated. Without an identity, they have a limitation on what Google can do, even with 2FA, forcing 2FA, or any kind of tracking on you. They can't track you much if you're dealing with a Google phone. So if you don't have a Google phone, you should think about getting one. Think about getting one. And as you know, I have many in my store. Okay, so in case you didn't know, I'm wearing a Googled t-shirt. What's this? A hoodie. And I have t-shirts and shirts and long sleeve shirts available on the merch store in the channels. If you look on the channel, you'll see the merch store, and you'll be able to get these de-googled. So it says de-googled in a small print. It says Rob Praxmatech below it, but it's like very light text. So it's kind of subtle. It's not like in your face kind of merch. So yeah, if you're interested in these, they're on the merch store. They're on the Google page, and I really appreciate it. It basically buys me coffee, and that's a big deal. So, do you know any of the specs for your Brax phone yet? Yeah, I have the specs for it. It's basically a mid-level. It's a mid-level Android phone, kind of similar to a G7 Motorola G7 Plus, kind of similar range. So, 48 megapixel camera. Yeah, it's pretty solid phone. So I'm gonna get one to try out very shortly, and then if it's as the specs say, then I'm gonna sell it. So it'll be available back around February or so. Where is Boris? Who's Boris? So anyway, so remember, guys. I mean, there's no mystery here. We're all on Braxme. If you're not on Braxme, then you can ask questions on Braxme. Even I can be found on Braxme. It's very easy. Braxme is my platform, and I can talk to anybody on Braxme. So just come on, join us on the platform. And it can run on the browser Braxme, or you can download the app from Apple App Store or from Google Play, and then you can go join us on the platform, and yeah, easy. So if you think I'm so unreachable, I'm not that unreachable. I can be reached. I keep getting the notices for my 3.6 phone. What is the 3.6 phone? Which phone do you recommend? What is the price for the phone you personally sell? I sell many phones. I sell many phones that are de-Googled. This is it's a more expensive one because it's new. This is 4A, which is 2021 model. This is more expensive. These are in the 600 plus range. Then there are the Motorola's are in the 300 plus range. So I think they're 359. So it's basically a range of phones. Normally we can't sell them less than 350. It's pretty hard to sell them less than that. Will a Brax phone take a micro SD XC card? Some do. It depends on the model. Like the Motorola's may take an SD card. So it depends on the model. Okay, so thank you, my friends. Great Gold is. Okay, sorry. I stopped the wrong button there. So anyway, let me just say goodbye, and I'll see you next time. I'm thinking about the live stream. I don't think I can do obviously, I'm not going to do a live stream on December 24th. So I may do the live stream the day before, December 23. So, I may do the live stream on Thursday instead of Friday, since it's Christmas Eve, and I'll release a video on Wednesday. I've been releasing videos on Wednesday. Then I'll release a video on December. I'll do a live stream on December 23rd, and then I bet you I will not do a live stream on December 31. So I'll probably skip that. So that's just to give you an idea what the plan is. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.